We'll record to the cloud. So yeah, so real quick, I always like to ask clients why they chose to invest in the service. I always think I know why, but it's always interesting to get their reaction. And before we get started here.
I just really like art. No, I'm just joking. I do like art too.
You're a lover of art?
Yeah, the more the art is about me, the more I like it, you know?
It's good.
No, man, Corey Peterson did this with you, I guess about a year or so ago.
Yeah.
And he brought it to our leadership boardroom meeting, and I just thought it was super cool. And I don't know how much you know about life and air at all. Are you familiar with that word or that principle?
I was just poking around a little bit, today. So not much.
Okay. So for 10 years, I was a co-owner of Life and Air. I sold my ownership in that company last year. And we would basically teach people how to have a vision for your life so that you could build a business vision around it. And we found that most entrepreneurs especially are guilty of building a business and having a business plan and goals and all that stuff, which is great. But most of the time they infiltrate what they want out of their life in hopes that the business will one day do well enough where they can have a life. And in the process, they end up giving up the life in pursuit of the business. And so we would take people through a process that basically said, here, let us show you how to create a personal vision, as corny as that sounds, so that you can build a business that serves that instead of you constantly serving your business with everything you got all the time. And so we gave, there was a Life and Air seminar that we used to teach all around the country for many years. I was the main speaker for that. And we would go teach these principles over the course of a 3-day event. We had a book that came out that started to help with this process in sort of a fictional format. And so that would introduce them to the concepts and tell them a little bit about what to do. But then they got the full scoop of that when they would come spend 3 days with us. Mm-hmm. And then if they wanted to take it from there, we would help them on a personal level by getting them involved in one of our coaching groups. And so we took it started with myself and my business partner, Steve Cook at the time. We took a handful of people, 30 people under our wing and took them through this on a personal basis in both a coaching environment and a mastermind environment. And when they started to see the results that they were getting, there was a handful that came to us and said, we're hooked, and now we want to take other people through this too. So that started a coaching the coaches business, and pretty soon we had 300 people in our mastermind coaching groups and 19 coaches and all kinds of stuff. So that's the fastest version of it I could tell you. So anyway, the reason I am wanting to do this with you is because we take people through this process. I almost wanted to show up to this unprepared, as stupid as that sounds, because your process probably looks different than mine. Mm-hmm. And so we never started with just goals. Goals were always a derivative of the vision first. And so I like what you do because it's a visual aspect of the vision, which we never did. We would teach people how to put all this stuff in writing and then how to condense it down into one written page. But man, there's something to be said about having a visual component that you can just glance at real quick and see everything. So when I saw Corey's, I was like, this is super cool. Sure. And I want to do this, and then never got around to doing it. But so make a long story short, I sold my ownership in Life and Air last year. My partner and I had a great partnership for about 8 of those 10 years. And the last 2 years, our visions for what we wanted to do kind of went like that. And we should have seen that a little earlier, but we didn't. And so I decided to step out. I sold my ownership of the company. And so now I basically do 2 things business-wise. I have my own mastermind coaching groups. It's called Leadership Boardroom. And so in Leadership Boardroom, I have 3 groups. I keep them small. There's 15 people in each group. They pay to not only get personally coached by me, but we also do 3 mastermind retreats per year where they all come from all over the country. And these are people that are in leadership positions. So it tends to be people who are national speakers, people who are info marketers somehow, people who are in run their own coaching organizations, whether that be they're the coach or they have coaches coaching within their organization. So I decided when I left Life and Air that I got a lot of joy out of working with people to help them have a great life and business, but that wasn't enough for me anymore. I wanted to be able to do that same thing, but do it for people who have a heart to now take other people through that too. And so that's what I've been focusing on solely for the last year.
So you coach the coaches to coach other people to do what you do.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
The next level is to coach the coaches who coach the coaches who coach others what to do. So eventually we'll get 9 levels deep there. But no, so I do that, and then I do the other thing I do on a professional level is I have spoken for about 13 years all over the country, and I tend to be really awful at many things, but one thing I'm pretty good at is speaking from the front of the room and specifically selling from the front of the room. And so I do another speaker training event. It's sort of a side fun thing that I do, but usually twice a year I'll bring a bunch of national speakers in and I'll train them on exactly how I get the results I get from the front of the room. Wow. And since that tends to be my clientele anyway, it's a great feeder system for Leadership Boardroom too. So
okay.
So that's the really long version answer to your question. Why am I doing this? I take other people through this, and I thought, man, if I think this is cool for Corey to go through it, maybe I should be doing this too,
Yeah. So go back to what you were saying about goals being a derivative of, I want you to repeat what you said there. I don't know if you remember saying it.
Yeah. So I feel like most people start with goals, and I don't feel like that's where you're supposed to start.
Okay.
I feel like the vision encompasses everything that you want life and business to look like, and then goals can be a derivative of that if you choose.
Okay.
But
it's the vision, mission, and then from there backfill with goals.
Yeah. So for example, I can have, I did this once where I had a personal goal and I announced this to my students, this was like 10 years ago. I had a goal on a personal level. I wanted to build a recording studio in my house. I've been into music since I was a kid. I've always wanted to have a recording studio, learn how to do all that stuff.
What can't you do?
Oh, I'm a terrible dancer. And so I made it a goal in front of all my students. I said, I've always wanted to do this. I'm going to make it a goal that in the next 6 months, I'm going to build out this whole section of my house to become a recording studio. I'm going to buy all the equipment, and I'm going to write a song, and I'm going to record it and have it produced and mastered and all this stuff like in-house, just because I have no intention to make money with it. It's just been a personal goal of mine. So I made that a goal, and then my group sometimes gives consequences they get to pick the consequence for what's going to happen if I don't hit the goal that I say. And so my consequence for that was, I collect guitars. And so I had about maybe 18 or 19 guitars at the time. So if I didn't hit my goal, I had to sell all my guitars on eBay in 1 hour with no reserve. And I had to not donate the money to charity. I had to donate it to this one particular speaker who I think is the biggest scam artist on earth. And give it to him by going to his event for 3 days. And so I'm going to hit the goal, right? So over the next 6 months, I did all of that. I built the studio, got all the equipment, learned how to use it all, wrote a song. It took every waking moment of 6 months, and my business suffered during that time, and my health suffered. And like the last week, I wasn't finished yet, and my wife had the flu, and I didn't take care of her because if I did, I wouldn't have finished this stupid freaking song in time. And so I hit my goal, and everything else in my vision was compromised. And so I think goals are great, but I think if they're not set with the foundation of the vision first, I think you can compromise a lot of other things that you say you care about to hit that number or to hit that time frame or whatever else.
Sure. So this is how we typically do it. We can do it however we want to do it. And I'm more intrigued with your process. I think you're intrigued with mine, but it's essentially we have to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And we can start with the vision. I just need words, a statement to start with.
Yep.
And then from there, we build on that. And I've been experimenting with, I have a mentor. We talk almost every day, and almost like fantasy. What's the fantasy? Because everyone has this perceived belief about goals, and I set goals and I never achieve them. And it's like, this has a better feel to, you're putting something out there, and that word may or may not work for some folks, but for me, it's just like, that would be my fantasy to, live a life, one day. And so I've been battling that the last, couple times. But essentially, it all boils down to, we can start with a vision mission and what that statement is, and then backfill with, whatever goals. But what we usually start with is some sort of written perfect day, or even a top goal, and then backfill from there. Like I was working with a client yesterday, and he's got, I'm struggling in spiritual, and I need to make more money, and I want to, improve my relationship. And I'm like, out of those, which one do you think, if you hit, the trickle down effect will, work for all the other areas?
Yeah.
He agreed, it's financial. I just need to get finances up. And so, there's all kinds of different ways, I think, to work it, to skin the cat. But yeah, I'm just excited to kind of brainstorm with you and go from there and see what comes of this. So
that's cool. Hey, one analogy that you might use with the people that you work with, it seems to help my people a lot. Like I just did in the last day and a half, I have 3 guys that I work with that are business partners. I know through talking with all 3 of them, they're having some challenges, and I know exactly why. I didn't tell them, but I know why. Their visions for where the direction of the company needs to go are completely different. They're not aligned at all. And so what they're doing, though, out of respect for each other, is they're filtering what their vision is, because they have so much respect for their partner. They're not truly being honest, not only with each other, but not even with themselves about where they want to go. And so one thing I tell people is I say, look, here's how we're going to do this. I want you to paint me a picture of what life, or in this case, business, what kind of business would you create if 2 things happened? Number 1, everything you currently have burned down tonight. Your partner's burned. Sorry for being so graphic, but everything burns up. You have no office, you have no staff, the only thing you have is maybe you have some resources that you already have, and you have this. That's it. You have experience, knowledge, wisdom from the mistakes you've made, so the successes that you had. And the second thing that you have is you are not stressed about money for the moment. Your needs are taken care of. Now, you're not rich by any means, but let's just pretend your needs are taken care of for as long as it takes to get this new thing up and going. And I put that second caveat in there because I found that most people gravitated towards, how can I make money really fast? Because, oh crap, everything burned down. Yeah. But when I put in those 2 caveats, they start to paint me a picture of, man, really? Like it gives them freedom to dream without having to think of their partners and insert all these filters of what they think they're supposed to do, or even what their wife wants them to do, and stuff like that. So, so it's a great exercise. And I do this for myself typically once a year, at least, but I haven't done this since last December. So I started working on this again as soon as I signed up for this, and I stopped for 2 reasons. 1, I kind of wanted to come here unprepared, and 2, I just signed up 2 days ago, and it's been a really busy couple of days. Sure. But and I could have made time, I guess, but I just didn't make it because I wanted to see what this looked like a little bit. But I have a whole vision that's narrowed down into the basically a front and back page. The front is all personal and the back is all business. Mm-hmm. But it needs to be. It needs to be updated
that along the way, I think.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay.
I think so. I think I saw. I mean, it was really detail oriented, if I'm not mistaken. I think you did send me it I don't know, a year ago.
Well, I can send you that, but I need to spend a little time making sure it's up to date, because it's so funny how like so many of the things that I wrote on that just last year, like I wrote that we wanted to travel with the family in the RV all summer, and I did that, man. First time ever. It was really cool. But so I need to update it. You know, some of that stuff we've done, some I want to still do, some of it I want to tweak a little bit, and I haven't done that yet. But
and that's fine. And maybe we can hit the broad strokes in this call. And I guess my first question is, out of those two business lines, where do you see your future there? Like, is it half and half? Is it, one is kind of 3/4, the other one's 1/4? Is one generating more than the other? And is that kind of the baseline but where do you see that vision going with your time?
That's a really good question. With Leadership Boardroom, can I just puke out a little bit? Because I don't know that.
Yeah.
So with Leadership Boardroom, I have 3 groups of 15 people. They're all really high caliber, awesome people. I put together a vision of who I wanted in that group. I've only invited people in that I wanted in. And one of the caveats to people that I had in was I allow them, when they need it, once a year they can come in and spend a day with me. And that's what I've done the last 2 days with these guys. And so they fly in, and my biggest filter for whether or not I wanted them in the group was, if they came in town, would I want them to stay at my house, or would I prefer they got a hotel? It doesn't mean they have to stay at my house, but I thought, man, if I would rather them stay at a hotel, probably a good indicator, regardless of how successful they are or how much they're willing to pay, I probably shouldn't be working with them, right?
Sure.
And so I have 3 groups and I love it, man. Like I really love what I do. The problem is it requires me to run it. It's not scalable. It's limited. I could, now that I have these 3 groups up and running, I could add a 4th group really easy. Yeah. Each person pays $10,000 to be in the group and $1,000 a month to stay in the group for as long as they're in. And my churn rate is almost $10K up front. That's their join fee. And it's $1,000 a month to stay in.
Yeah.
So their first year is the most expensive, but if I deliver to them in that first year what they really need, that like my average stick rate is 4 or 5 years with these people. They'll stay for a long time. Wow. And so like once I have these groups filled, I don't have to do any marketing. I can fill empty seats with a phone call or 2 or a Facebook post. And there's good and bad about that. The good is that it's my profit margins are insane because I don't have any expenses. My biggest expenses are my retreats that happen 3 times a year, but they're in my office now, and my office costs nothing. And so here's my options, and here's why I don't know the answer to your questions. I could add a 4th group this year and make more money. I'm very comfortable with what I make right now because my expenses are so little. It's more than I need, far more than I need. I get to live every aspect of my vision based on what I make right now. There's the entrepreneurial side of me that says, well, you might as well try to make more, if you can. And so I go, okay, well, now that I have the 3 groups up and running, and they've been running for at least a year since I left Life in Air, the hardest part is getting them up and going. And so if I added a 4th group right now, I could handle it just fine and still not work 40 hours a week. But I'm also getting students of mine now that are coming to me very similar to what happened with Life in Air. They're saying, hey, we're getting so much out of this. We want to start our own Leadership Boardroom group. And can we license it, copy your model? Can we franchise it? I've had 2 people in the last 30 days ask me for permission to do that. I've not given them permission yet because I don't know if that's the direction I want to go.
Yeah.
And so that's why I don't know the answer to your question. Then with the speaker training, that is it is one thing that I absolutely love also. That's a model. I charge $5,000 a head to come in. I can fill a room of 15 to 20 people, usually with a Facebook post or 2 or 3. I don't have any paid marketing. it's always people that come that have either heard about me or saw me speak somewhere or was a referral from somebody else who's been. And so again, the profit margins of that are insane because I do that in my office too. But that's always been sort of an afterthought. It's like, okay, I haven't done one in 6 months. I should get another one going because people are asking about it again. And so it's interesting, man, because I have, in the last year, I'm doing so much of what I enjoy doing that it's also, and it's lucrative enough where I'm finding, like, when you ask me what are my goals right now, I was like, shit, I don't know. You know, I didn't know it. I felt really stupid not knowing. I'm like, I help people with this stuff. Like, I'm supposed to know what, but I'm living so much of it right now that I don't know how to answer that right now. I need to put some thought into it.
Sure. Wow. Okay. So let's think about that. Is it more illustrating if you're living your ideal life now? You know what they say, right? If you get too complacent, you might lose that kind of thing.
Yep.
And so I'm wondering if we illustrate this, your current reality, and I mean, you have to do work in it you got to keep coming up with stuff to make them feel like they're getting value, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, all the time.
So maybe that's it. It's you've got everything positioned for success, and now you just have to fortify maybe the base, or you have to continually do the work on you in order to help them, correct?
Yeah, which is funny you say that because I took a couple of months this summer and basically traveled a lot, and it was a blast. But at the end of it, I came back and I'm like, I had so much fun with my family. We saw the world. It was cool. I didn't grow. I mean, aside from maybe physically, because we hiked every day, I wasn't reading books. I wasn't listening to anything. I wasn't pushing myself in that regard. So when I got back, I had to get back in the swing of things helping these people on an individual basis and in a group setting, it comes pretty natural to me. So I don't really even have to prepare very hard to pull that off pretty well.
Yeah.
But I still have to continue delivering that value. And if I'm not pushing myself anywhere, it gets harder and harder to do that. So I totally relate to what you're saying.
Yeah. But don't you think the recharge times are just as important?
Absolutely. Yep. Wouldn't trade it for the world.
And you're getting after it. So that served its purpose. I wonder if we can show that. So what I was saying, did that resonate with you? Like you're already living your ideal life, correct?
Yeah, for the most part.
I figured it out as well. No, maybe it's not ideal because I want this other element that would be nice to have, and that's what I'm trying to get you to either agree with or say, well, maybe it's not the most ideal. If I just had this one thing, then it would be.
Yeah, that's a good question. Good thought. There's always things like all right, this is a cheesy one, but like my family and we just bought the land next door to our house. So one of our goals is to this next year build this huge 50 by 50 barn. We can store all of our RVs and our RV and our ATVs and all the fun stuff that we've acquired over the years. Sure. And have a place for it, and we can have barn parties out there in the fall and stuff like that. So yes, there is a few things like that I could think of that I am definitely working towards.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. And so maybe what we do is you go back through that ideal day or personal and professional goal sheet that you have, clean that up.
Yep.
Maybe get that back to me, and then we can have another discussion. This is helpful to understand that my vision that I have, and how long ago did you set this vision, or did it all just kind of fit into place?
It's we call it a living, breathing document. It's always sort of being altered and changed, and that's just because as you get to it, you go, okay, I'm ready to do something new or something, push myself a little harder somewhere. And I think that's the thing that I haven't done since December. And so I think that's why I'm having a hard time answering some of these questions. I've been implementing everything that was on there last year, and it's time to do a reset, and I haven't done that yet. But yeah, so this has been a work in progress since 2008, probably. So when the first vision I did was like describe everything that would be ideal. No filters, no nothing. So if you want a, blonde wife who's whatever, write that down. We'll filter it later.
Yeah.
And I wrote down some crazy stuff, an airplane and all these things. And over the years, that's morphed into, I don't really want an airplane. Like I actually went and took flying lessons, and I thought it was going to be the coolest thing ever. And I got my SOLS license, and then I was up flying around, and I was like, all right, the cool part about this was getting my license. I could care less about flying around, Yeah. And so that changes over time, and you tweak that the next year. So I tend to do this process usually once a year, but it needs a refresher, man. And it's interesting because I need to be pushed in this area, and I am constantly pushing everybody else. And the only push that I get is when a student asks me to see mine,
Yeah.
In this case, you're asking me some questions that I'm going, I do this for people all day long, but
yeah,
since I'm living aspects, I don't have some of these answers. I need to have them.
Yeah. But I mean, so in essence, you did what you're teaching these folks what to do. You sat down and you wrote your ideal life in 08.
Yep.
And every year you're on top of rewriting it, or every 6 months. And is it written, or is it written on the computer?
Oh yeah, I have to type it, or else you would never be able to read anything on it.
Okay. One of the image, and the other thing that would be interesting, Corey, we had, I think, 3 or 4 buckets for his, and Russell Brunson, we had different pockets of just the areas of focus, right?
Yeah.
Did you see his by chance?
I saw the video on the thank you page, but the video was super tiny, so I couldn't see what was on the actual art.
Okay. But for this one, it's interesting. I'm seeing 2, and then this is just brainstorming. After I get everything, this may change, but like this is, I'm seeing the 2 different business lines as areas that you've kind of put bricks into place, and you're fortified, and they're solid and they're fortified.
Yeah.
Maybe you're coming back in and adding other bricks to that based on you doing your own work, and then around that we can have different buckets of personal, spiritual, and things of that nature. But these 2 are pretty solid.
Yeah.
I'm seeing what you're sharing with me, and they've been built up, and you have a solid foundation around them. And so now it's just, we can't let them crumble. And so maybe you're going through and you're spackling them with cement or something like that.
Yeah.
And then,
cool.
And then there's, I think there'll be other elements that come to me when you share the rest of, that piece of paper, the vision.
One thing, I love that idea, by the way. I think that's really cool. One thing that will be important to me in the vision from a visuals perspective is to have the order of each aspect of the vision. I want to make sure that Christ is at the center of all of this.
Nice.
And so, to me, it's like, this is one part that I'm having a hard time living the most. Not the Christ at the center part, but the second area of vision that I'm probably not making of the utmost importance, but it is second to Christ, is health. Third to that is family. And even family has a pecking order. Wife comes first, kids come second. and so on. And then after, business is like, I'd have to look at it, but it's fifth or sixth. And I don't want it to portray that my business isn't important. Obviously, my students are going to see this, but I do want it to somehow visually depict the order of importance to me too.
Now, let me ask you this: if your health is shit, where does everything else go?
To shit.
So, is that the foundational? Is that the bottom, with Christ in the middle? You working on your health is the first layer, and then family close to the center? Or do you see the family as the first layer, health after that, Christ in the middle? I like Christ being in the middle because it's going to emanate from him, right? Everything will, or we could have, hands coming down and having him be a part of that vision, and they could be coming from the heavens.
That's cool.
Or, but I see, like, and this came out of another client, like they were sharing that if I don't work out, everything else suffers, because if it's kind of like, you're in the plane and you put your mask on first, and then you put your kid's mask on.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how you feel about that. And
man, I think that's really cool. I love how your brain thinks, man. That's really creative.
Okay. So we'll have you start, we'll have your personal health mindset and everything be at the bottom as a foundational piece. Next can be family. And spiritual will be big in it. So don't worry about if it's in the middle or at the top.
Yeah, that's cool.
That'll be an important element that you will recognize.
Very cool. So I like the idea of, the hands sort of encompassing everything. You've got a better visual of what that would look like, but that's a really cool idea, man.
Okay, sweet. I'm just writing some notes.
You're really good at this. You should get paid to do this.
Well,
this is cool. I love how your brain works.
The people that you've teamed up with, it's like, I actually used to, my former life was going into Pepsi, Coke, sitting with senior leaders and eliciting their vision, and we would create these learning maps that would look very similar to what we're doing now, but they would create a game around them.
Nice.
And my daughter is trying to get a hold of me, but I want to show you this thing as well. So not only can you...
You can answer. It's not going to bother me if you need to.
Well, I think I need to go run and pick her up.
Oh, okay.
But not only can you create the vision in a picture, you can also do what I'm doing here, which is, this is my personal fitness goal board, if you will. So I started off in month one. Month one, I kicked serious butt. all these little skills are me working out for at least 30 minutes or more, doing, could be, and everything counts. Walking counts. I don't put golfing in there, but walking, running, biking, that kind of thing. And so each one of these is a different month. I set a different goal. So that's the other thing we can do with these that I haven't really done with Corey and them, because it's just mostly a static image, like you said, that you can look at. But let's say you want, 3 date nights every other week with your wife. We can create stickers that you actually start tracking it and you put on there, so you can have a running scoreboard of how well you're doing, because as well as I do, what you track, what you measure gets accomplished.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
So I want to just kind of plant the seed there, and if we can fold that into yours somehow, if you're interested, we can set up a little game, if you will, that makes it even more fun.
That's very cool. It's seeing it visually just makes, I can see exactly how much you worked out. You can go there every day and do something. To me, it's so much harder for me to keep track of things when I have to go open the computer and do it, or I have to think about it every day. Like if that thing was hanging in my bathroom, I would update it every day.
Yeah. And see, the beautiful thing about this, Shaun, we've done one of the other businesses I had was called Fit Boom, and I would go into like little insurance companies. They want to get fit, and we would set this up in a huge format where they could see calendars. Like, first 3 months, get in like 3 days or more. Second 3 months, get in 5 days or more. So they raise the challenge, and then the company can provide gifts to their employees, whoever achieves those goals.
Nice.
And it's a benefit for the company because people are staying fit and, you know, having less visits to the doctor and whatnot. And I'm telling you what, we did it in our own company. We did it like a couple of years ago. People start talking about fitness, what you did on the weekend. They're making healthier choices because it's right in front of you. It's a scoreboard, and you see a guy that's smoking and he's getting all his days, and you're thinking, why the hell am I not? You know, it was just bizarre and just amazing to witness and see a transformation happen with it. But that's the benefit behind it. Like you said, you see that in your bathroom every day, you're going to be like, and I'll go work out and like come in. This is the first thing I do in my office. Write down, 45 minutes, combat style workout, the date, slap it up there. So
awesome.
But this is good. I think we got some foundational things in, and I'll just wait to see what you produce with the 2 sheets. Yeah. And then I can either look at that, and I may have enough information based on that, or we might need to come back and do another Zoom call.
Okay, cool.
Does that work?
Yeah, it works great. Real quick, just to let you know, my retreats actually start Monday, and they go all next week and then the next half a week after that. So I'm not even going to think about updating this until after I'm done with the retreats.
Yep, totally get it.
So it'll probably be 2 weeks before you hear from me again.
Okay.
Just because this is a crazy time. It's when they come in, we go to dinner together, we hang out. It's like 8 a.m. till midnight every day, and it's exhausting. But it's fun too.
Sure.
And then second thing I wanted to ask you, have you ever heard of a company called Explain?
Explain, I have. I knew about them for 20 years now. I'm trying to see if I've got the book on selling. But I'm a big fan of them. I was a long time ago.
I didn't even think of this, but when I used to be in the short sale real estate business, started that in 2003, and around maybe 05 or so, I got the opportunity to sit with them. They were training 12 new artists. And they asked me, a buddy of mine that was one of his best friends, and they asked me to come in and be the guinea pig so they could train these 12 artists how to do the process. Yeah. And so we came in and we explained the entire short sale. I totally forgot about this until I started seeing your drawings. We explained the whole short sale process to them over 3 days, which is this crazy complicated process.
Sure.
And they broke all this down into one amazing page.
So cool.
And after that, I spoke all over the country. I forgot about this, man. I spoke all over the country, and I would sell people this info product on short sales. And when they signed up, this was the sheet that I would say, this is how you explain what the process is to a homeowner without it taking 2 hours. And when you sign up today, that's what you get as a bonus. And I sold so much because of that thing. I forgot how awesome that was. I haven't sold that product for maybe 8 or 9 years, but it was amazing, man.
I'm telling you what, that's going to be my next book that I'm developing. I'm 30 pages in. It's called Caveman Closing Secrets. And it's helping people like you who, I'm not an artist, or Joe Smith, to let them understand that when I'm selling ad tunes, and if I tell them what they're going to get, I have to explain it over and over again. But I just simply say, hey, get out a piece of paper, write a 1x1 square in the middle. In that square, write a 2.5-minute video. Can you do that for me? Yes, 1 second, I got to grab a pencil. Okay, don't worry, I get paid by the hour. And so then they finally do it, and then I tell them you also get a 50-second highlight trailer, you get an ebook, and you get screenshots. And at the end, they've got something that looks like that, right? Yeah. And I don't have to re-explain it. And they see the value. They see that my price is more, but they also see the value they're getting. And so Caveman Closing Secrets, is all about icons and arrows, helping people draw. And also what you're saying there, you had that visual to connect the dots for people when you're selling short sales, that you didn't have to go on and explain for 30 minutes. You could be in 4 minutes or 5 minutes.
I had guys that were doing more deals than me that paid $2,000 for my product just for that piece of paper.
Wow. Wow. So cool.
Gosh, man, you got my wheels turning now. Think all the different stuff we could be. Well, I'm the first buyer of your book when it comes out, so just keep that in mind.
Okay. Awesome. Well, yeah, and I feel there's going to be opportunity. I think that leads to working with you in your groups. I just feel it, and it's we couldn't come to any agreement on that front, but I'm still hopeful, and I think there's something that we can do down the line with that group to.
I think so too. Yeah. For sure. By the way, I wanted to make sure you didn't think I was trying to bust your chops and just
No.
I fully value everything you're doing. I was trying to figure out a way to make it work within a budget that I have to work within.
Yeah.
But that being said, like I want what we create here to be a topic of discussion at my January retreat.
Sure.
And I think out of that, naturally, some people are going to want to gravitate towards you anyway.
Yeah.
But we'll figure that out as we go. I'm just excited to do this right now, man. It's great.
Yeah. Cool. So I might work on just creating a rough draft, and then I might just wait for you to get that. I'll just wait and see what kind of energy I get around this.
Okay.
And see if any other ideas percolate. But maybe I can start formatting just the layout of everything and how, Jesus comes in and is a part of it. I think those could be cool images to drop in. So, but there's also this thing around mindset that I'm getting from you that you help people with. And I'm wondering if that could be an image, a central image, or a focal point, if it's not central, that you're helping people work on their mindset, right?
Yep. Yeah, and it's interesting because, I don't know, when you're starting out in the business world or as a young man and you think, man, that guy's got his act together and he's got everything figured out and he doesn't have the same struggles that I do. And then you get a little older and, I'm now to a point where I coach these are really high level guys. One of the guys I was talking to yesterday has got a $15 million a year business. He's doing really well for himself. And I have to help him get unstuck with some of the most ridiculous things to somebody else. They hear that and they go, I can't believe you make $15 million a year and you're struggling with that thing. Like everybody has these struggles. And so you're right. I first help uncover what those are. Sometimes they don't even know what they are. And then I help them sort of get out of their own way so that they can live these aspects of their vision. And, which is why I'm getting such a kick out of what I do now. I mean, it's every scenario is different. Every human being I work with is different. Some people have really, really big challenges and other people have challenges that they think are huge and aren't at all, but yeah, so you're right, man. I don't know how you visualize that, but
for me, it's almost like, and you're using your thought capital and all this. You have no expenses, no overhead. It's basically your lifeblood is flipping here, right?
Yeah.
So maybe what we could do is we could have, and again, this may be too corny, this may be too, but at the center of it is your noggin. And these two things are on your noggin, and that's what's generating your business.
Okay.
It's the thought capital, it's the, all that kind of stuff. But, that could be what's fortifying it is, the base of these two businesses is almost like a rock sculpture. What's the one out west of the presidents?
Oh yeah. We just went there.
Something like that, so you have to constantly be feeding your mind if you're going to deliver value to these two resting plates, if you will, on top of your head of the two different businesses.
I like that a lot, and I would almost twist it maybe just a little bit.
Yeah.
Instead of putting any of the emphasis on me, I would almost rather that be like tapping into the minds of the student.
Yeah.
Of the people that I work with instead of, because this whole visual depiction is already all about me. I hate to say too much, but I don't want to, you know what I mean? Like,
I get it.
Picture.
I love it. And that's, so you're feeding their mind. That's it. Yes.
Or maybe not even feeding their mind, but maybe just extracting from their mind what's kind of already there that they couldn't see.
Yeah. Weeding the garden, weeding the crap out.
Very rarely, well, I was going to say very rarely do I tell somebody something they don't know. That might not be entirely true. Most of the time I'm helping people uncover what's already in there.
Yeah.
They're blinded to it, or they've got some fears around it, or they've got, like we talked about with even the vision stuff, they're afraid of what, if they want to go this way, what's their partner going to think, or what's their spouse going to think, or how's that going to affect our staff? Here, these two guys that I worked with yesterday, they've got a really big business here in St. Louis, and there's a lot of people involved.
Yeah.
And their visions are nothing alike at all. They should not be working together almost at all.
Yeah.
But they're so afraid to admit that, because if they admit that, it affects 100+ people.
Sure.
And now what the hell are they going to do about it? And so, so yesterday, like the step one for them was me uncovering their visions. Step two, which we'll do with them next week at the retreat, is I'm going to have them share each of their visions there at the retreat. And the whole room is going to go, dude, why are you guys working together? And they're going to see the same thing.
Yeah.
But I had to get them to unfilter that and get out of their own head long enough to write down the truth, which for some of them yesterday, it was the first time they had even admitted the truth to themselves. I don't think they even had thought of some of these things. So I'm rambling, but you get the idea.
No, you're not. And so if I was there sitting there, I would align them around, here's vision A, here's vision B, here's vision C. What are the commonalities? And then we would start drawing, leave it together as opposed to keep it separate. Let me ask you this. So in both businesses, you're still doing that, whether it's speaker training, whether it's personal development in their business. You're helping them uncover what's already there.
Yep.
Correct?
Well, that's not true. In the speaker training business, I am teaching them.
Sorry, I got to take this. One second.
Do what you got to do, man.
Hey, Georgia. Hey, I'm on a call and I can be there in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, okay? I can leave in 5 or 10. All right? All right, thanks, bye. I love it because, here I am. I can come and go as I please, and they just take advantage of it. And then when I need, my time, it's like, where are you?
Right.
Half the time I never hear from them if I send them a text. And
right.
So speaker training is different in that
they're coming into that's not a mastermind event. It's not a coaching event. It is a straight up training 3 days. I am dumping on them over the course of 3 days everything I've learned over 13 years about how to create an effective presentation that converts. And so actually it's similar. I have been doing this since before I started seeing how Russell teaches it, but it's kind of similar to how Russell teaches with storytelling and branding and how you craft all that together in a message that resonates with people and gets them to say, I want to sign up for your stuff. Sure. And so when I do that, I'm teaching them. I have a lot of experienced national speakers come, and I have newbies come, and so I'm basically brain dumping on them for 3 days. And so the experienced people may have heard some of it before, but even a lot of it is a different format than they've heard. And quite frankly, again, I'll say this because I suck at so many things. I'm good enough at this where I have really experienced people come because they're pissed off because we were at an event together and I outsold them and haven't been speaking as much. And so when they come, they're basically like, man, you did something different, but I don't know what you did different. But I want to know, how did you set that up? And why did it convert into better sales than what I had? I felt like I did something similar, but somehow you got better results. What are you doing? So I just teach them during that 3 days. And it's interactive and everything too, but it's not full-blown coaching. It's a training event.
Okay. Got it. Awesome. And which one would you say gives you more energy? Which business line?
This is going to sound ridiculous because I would never accept this answer from a student, but they are equal and for very different reasons.
Okay.
When I am hosting one of our mastermind coaching retreats,
Mm-hmm.
it requires a level of focus that is absolutely exhausting when you're finished. But during, I am on fire because at our retreats are, I know you got to go, so I'll try to make this quick. Our retreats are very different than any other mastermind anybody has ever been in. We talk about really deep, really personal stuff. And so one guy who takes his time in the hot seat might get up. He might have something simple like a marketing issue, and we talk about that. It's no big deal. One of the last guys got up at our last retreat and said, this is a national speaker. If I said his name, most people would know him. And he said, at the last 2 retreats, I was drunk the whole time. None of you knew it. I'm a complete alcoholic. No one knows this. And I'm just admitting it now for the first time I need help. And it's like, holy crap, you know. This is the kind of stuff we deal with at the retreats. It's a secure, safe environment to share anything and get feedback from the other people in the group, which is why when people are in it, most people don't have any place else like that to go. Mm-hmm. Not to that degree, because they can't go to their staff. In some cases, they can't even go to their spouse because the problem is the spouse or the relationship. You know, they're embarrassed to tell friends, or their friends don't understand because maybe it's a big business challenge. But I love that because it is so interpersonal. And the speaker training is not interpersonal at all, but I also love teaching. And I love seeing the light bulbs go off in heads and people going, oh, I get it now. No wonder your stories don't make it feel like you're selling, but you're sort of selling the whole time, but no one feels like you are. And to me, when those light bulbs go off, like, I freaking love it too. So long answer, but I love them both, man.
That's awesome. That's good.
Which is why when I say I'm living a lot of those aspects of business vision, these are my unique genius zones, and I'm not doing paperwork. I'm not doing accounting in my business. You know, I don't do any of that stuff. I suck at that stuff. I'm doing just the stuff that I love doing, and I love them both.
Man, it was really good to connect with you. This is really, really going to be a fun one.
I agree. Thank you for listening to me blab.
No, this is good stuff. All right. Well, I'll let it percolate, and I'll just wait to hear back from you after those retreats.
Okay.
And we'll continue the conversation, man.
All right, man. Thank you.
Does that work?
Works perfect for me. Thank you for waiting so long for me to get off my duff.
Yeah. No worries. We'll have a good couple retreats, and we'll talk soon, Shaun.
Okay, man. Talk to you soon. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. See you. Let's see.